Hi YouTube, it's Remrex or RemRoX, and today we're going to be ranking Deltarune and Undertale characters as of Chapter 3 and 4. So if you haven't watched Chapter 3 and 4, definitely do not. I don't know why you clicked on this video since it's been like 2 weeks since the Deltarune game came out, or the new chapters came out, so go play if you haven't. Anyway, we're going to be ranking all of these characters from Undertale and Deltarune as of Chapter 3 and 4. Okay, let's go. Frisk. I like Frisk's character. They do have a character, by the way. They're not just a blank slate. I remember watching Mystic Slime's video about Frisk, and it really convinced me that Frisk is a lot more interesting than originally thought. I already knew they were interesting, but seeing all the little actions and how dark they can get in the neutral routes, I definitely would say that Frisk is at least A rank. High A. Okay, next is Flowey. Flowey's going immediately into S tier because Flowey is an amazing character in Undertale. I think that his story as Azrael... Is Azrael in here? Yeah, he is. Okay. His story... Actually, I think I'm going to rank Flowey and Azrael as one character. Since I'm going to count this Azrael as the Deltarune Azrael. So, yeah. So, as ranking Azrael and Flowey, I think that he is very interesting, and I think that the whole meta like timeline thing is very like complex for such a game, like, and I think at the time it was a very new thing that people were experiencing with the whole like, oh yeah, like saving the game and like, all that kind of stuff. I feel bad for him, and the whole reason why Undertale even happened is because of Flowey, so. And the other reason why Undertale happened is because of Kara. I'm going to put Kara at high B tier. I would say A, but I do love that they are their own character and they have a story, and I'm glad it's known at the end of the genocide route that they're separate characters, Frisk and Kara. I definitely agree with the Narakara theory. That definitely boosts them to the top of B, because I think that Kara, or Kara narrating Frisk's story from a third-person point of view is great. I like it. But yeah, let's go to Napstablook. Napstablook. I'm just gonna put them in D if I haven't ranked them yet. Napstablook is a great character. I think that their tunes rock. I wish we saw more of them in Deltarune, but I wish that for a lot of Undertale characters, and you can only get so much in a game. But yeah, I like the relationship with Metaton. I think that's great. Or Hapstablook and Deltarune. I'm gonna put them in A tier. They're a good character. Toriel. Okay, I know a lot of people's opinions have changed about Toriel ever since Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 came out, especially concerning the, what is it called? What are they singing? What are they dancing to? Sans and Toriel at the end of Chapter 4? Uh, the Jitterbug? Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I think that was kind of funny, but I do realize that people think that this is like inappropriate for a mother to do, and I think we are going to get like a story arc with her at least in Chapter 5 or 6. Probably with Asgore as well. I don't know if they're gonna go in the Dark World though. I think that Asgore might, but I don't know if Toriel will, since we didn't see Toriel well, we did see Toriel and Undyne in the Dark World, but we didn't know that. We didn't see them do anything, so that's why I'm going to put her in B tier. Actually, I'll put her in A. I think she's a nice character. And I think people's opinions have changed about her ever since that scene at the end of Chapter 4. But I still think she's a good character, but let's move on. Next is Snowy. In Undertale, he sucks, and in Deltarune, he sucks, so he's going to go in D tier. But I realized that his character is a suck, and I do realize that's why, but he doesn't have anything outside of that. His joke sucks, so yeah. And especially how he treats Chris in the new chapter is awful. And Susie, like, I don't like it. Next is Papyrus. I'm gonna put Papyrus in A tier above Toriel and Napstablook because Papyrus is such a staple of Undertale. Even though he's not in Deltarune, I think that he might appear. If he's not appearing, then there's some shenanigans going on with the lore and the timeline. But besides all that, I think his phone calls in Undertale are hilarious. I love how his font is. I love everything about him. So yeah, he's one of the same A tier. Next is Sans. Sans is a great character. I love Sans. He's probably one of my favorite characters. So that's why he's immediately going above Flowey. And I know it might be overrated that Sans is your favorite character, seriously, but he really is, and that's because definitely in Undertale, and Deltarune he'd probably be A if I didn't have like before knowledge about Undertale, but definitely S because I like how he judges you at the end, and his personality is just so iconic, and the way that his jokes are. And I love when people like make artwork of or like videos or fan work or whatever of Frisk and Sans because I love canon, like actual, like real, not like 2015 styled Undertale and Undertale things, fan work. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just like when people make them canon and like act like how they would actually act. Also, I think his how he looks after Papyrus is really he's a really good brother, and I think a lot of people don't realize that he's multifaceted. He's not just some joke guy. And I know most people talk like he's like a joke most of the time. But yeah, I really like him. Anyway, next is QC. I'm gonna put her in C tier because I don't know much about her. I know her name from Deltarune, but I don't know anything else about her. Um, I know she has a sister, and that's about it. Next is the Ice Cream guy. I'm gonna put the Ice Cream guy in B tier since he has always originally been in like a lot of fan works, a lot of fan comics, a lot of fan videos, a lot of fan fictions and artwork ever since Undertale came out. He's been paired with Burger Pants and Grillby for a long time. I like how in Deltarune chapter 4, he it is like revealed that he might talk to Burger Pants in a flirtatious way. And I'm like, that's funny. I love that. So he's going in B tier. Next is Monster Kid. So this is Monster Kid, not Monster Teen from Deltarune. I think I'm gonna put Monster Kid in B. I'm gonna put them higher than Ice Cream Guy since Ice Cream Guy gets like nothing really, but we see a lot of Monster Kid in Waterfall. So I like their relationship with Frisk. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. I think their obsession with Undyne is funny, and I think that it's realistic to show obsessions in that way. And I'm glad. Oh, I'm glad that I think that Monster Kid's obsession with Undyne is realistic in a way. But yeah, next is Timmy. I'm gonna put Timmy in S tier because Timmy is iconic and Timmy's funny, and I love them. I think I'm gonna put Toby or the annoying dog in S tier too. Timmy appears in Undertale, but Timmy doesn't appear in Deltarune. I'm just going to put them at the same level. They're not above or below each other in my eyes. So, I just do that out of respect for the creators of my favorite games. So yeah. Next is Onion-san. I'm gonna put Onion-san in C tier. Um, I like them in Undertale, but in Deltarune they didn't really hit for me. I think I like them in Undertale mostly because of how we encountered Onion-san. Frisk just walks away from them, and I think that's funny. And Deltarune, I don't really care for them. I like their anime eyes. They're a peculiar creature, but I like how Susie says like, "Are you gonna meet your friend or whatever?" when trying to stand outside or whatever. And I'm like, that's hilarious. I love that. Next is the bird that carries you over a unproportionally something gap, size gap. I forget how it's actually said, but I'm going to put this bird in C tier above Snowy because Snowy is unlikable. But yeah, I don't know much about them. Next is, do we have Mad Mew Mew on here? Yes, we do. It's right there. literally right beside Mad Dummy. Okay, yeah, Mad Dummy. I'm gonna put Mad Dummy and Mad Moo in the same tier, but I'm gonna put them above Kara. And that's not because I don't like Kara. I do like Kara. I just think that I wish we got more of their character fleshed out. And actually, I'll put Kara up. I'll put them under Toriel since Toriel's a main cast member. But also, I'll do that, and then that seems about right because I think Napstablook is a good person. So it doesn't mean that Kara is not a good person. Well, they're not portrayed as a good person, but that's not the reason why. I just think that I wish we got more of them in Undertale, and we don't really see them for all of Deltarune. And I know it might be like kind of like, what, you're counting Deltarune as a point against Kara, and yeah, I am, because it's definitely that like Undertale and Deltarune are closely related, and I haven't seen much of them for 4 chapters. So what are you gonna do? I'm sure if this was like right after Undertale, I'd rank them an S, but yeah, let's go back to Mad Dummy slash Mad Mew Mew. I like the representation in her. I love them. I think the boss fight in Undertale is great, and the Switch port is great. So yeah, next is Gerson. I'm going to put Gerson. Okay, yeah, we have Gerson in Deltarune as well. I want to put Gerson in Undertale at B tier, definitely above Monster Kid. I think the intriguing Gerson was because of his shop, purely because of his shop. That's like the only place he appears in Deltarune, or Undertale. Um, I think that Gerson is a fun character. Uh, Trying not to count for his Deltarune version, I think that his relationship with Undyne is cool. I love how in Deltarune, I know I can't count for it, but I do have to say the way that Susie's or Undyne's like melody, like both of her like leitmotifs are inside of most of his music in Deltarune, but okay, we're not counting Deltarune. I think that Gerson's how he talks about Asgore as King Fluffy Buns is funny, but yeah. Next is Undyne. I'm going to put Undyne in A tier. Um, I put her above Napstablook. I think that Undyne is a great character. I love her relationship with Alphys. Alphys is next. I want to put Alphys above. I'm gonna put Alphys above Toriel because I think Alphys's story with the amalgamates and how like her like stress over that, and like she's in her like fears and all of like the things the dark places she goes in her character are very interesting to me. But back to Undyne, I think that Undyne is a cool character. I like her spears. I like how in most of this is from the genocide route and battle against a true hero. Undyne, the Undying. I think that was iconic, and I think that gave her character a lot of meaning. I think it shows her determination a lot better than her original fight in Undertale. But also, I think she's a funny cop in Deltarune. Back to Alphys. I think Alphys' relationship with Mettaton definitely bumps her up above Toriel. That's probably why she's above Toriel, and with all the other stuff that her character goes through. So, yeah. Next is Mettaton. Do we have like? Okay, it's just EX Mettaton. I like Mettaton. I think Mettaton is better than Napstablook. So yeah, probably under Undyne though. Mettaton, I like his design. I think that his realization that he can like just stop faking this whole charade for Alphys, and the way that like he just wanted to put on a good show. I think that twist at the end of the core was actually very interesting, and I love that. Also, I think that I'm sad that we don't get to see Napstablook in Deltarune, but I'm glad we got a canon name for them at least. But yeah, I'm gonna put that there. Next is Muffet. Muffet will go below Monster Kid. I don't have anything against Muffet. I like how Muffet is in fan works. She's always been in fan works, but the way that she's not in Deltarune kind of makes me sad. But I'm glad that in like TS underswap Muffet is there, and I like people using her character. I think she's great in TS Undersell, but I can't count for that. In Undertale, she's a good encounter. I like her boss fight. I like her soul mechanic. It's all fun. I love her relationship with the spiders, and I think that this spider base cell in the ruins probably bumps her up. I think it would bump her up against Monster Kid because I think that her like thing with like potentially Flowey, um, like trying to capture you is interesting. I love that. Next is Asgore. Asgore's actually going to go under Undyne. I like Asgore, but Toriel just has more content to work with, I feel. Even though that might be contradictory since we both see Asgore and Toriel and Deltarune. But I think since we don't get to see him much in Undertale, he goes under Undyne. But other than that, I think his plot relevance in Deltarune is a lot interesting, or very interesting. And I think that in Deltarune he'll play more of an important role than Undertale. I like his relationship with Pyrus, Undyne. I like his relationship, or I like his dynamic with Toriel and Asgore. I don't want them together, but I don't think they're going to get together either at the end of Deltarune or anything. Also, I think that he wants to see his son again in Undertale, and also his weird relationship or odd relationship with Chris is funny. I like their dynamic. It's funny. I like how he's just kind of like bimbo. Sorry, I hate using that word, or himbo, whatever. But yeah, next is Roulxs. I'm gonna put them on the same thing. I'm gonna put them under Nice Cream Guy since we don't really get to see their faces, and we see a little bit more of Nice Cream Guy at least. I like them. Good representation. Let's move on. He's Flamesman. I forget his name in Deltarune, but he doesn't do much. He is above Onion-san because I actually remember his name, so that counts for something. So sorry. I'm gonna put in D tier. I don't really care for them. Actually, I'll put Snowy below. So sorry because So Sorry didn't do anything wrong as a character. They're just weird. Their whole thing around them is weird, but Snowy's just an unlikable character, so. Next is Burger Pants. Burger Pants is instantly going to S. Okay. Actually, if I had to rank Burger Pants, I guess I would rank him above Undyne. And this is the reason why. Burger Pants is really funny, especially in the genocide route of Undertale, but also just in the pacifist neutral routes too. He's hilarious. I like how he calls Chris little buddy, and I think that him talking to Chris about Asriel and his girlfriend, quote unquote, and Deltarune is funny. So yeah, he's gonna go there. I hope that he plays an important role in Chapter 6. Hopefully, probably not. I hope we see him in a Dark World, probably not. Since we didn't see Caddy or Jockington in Chapter 4. Sad face, but yeah, let's go to the River Person. The River Person is so mysterious, and I think that alone solidifies them in B tier, but I think I'm gonna put them below Muffet. Actually, I'll put them above Muffet because I think their relevance with Gaster and how they speak about Gaster, being like the only one to speak about Gaster and Undertale is interesting. I think that there's a lot of different people he could be, and I think their intrigue around who they might be or who they might be is interesting. How many times will I say interesting in this video? Probably a lot. Anyway, next is Asriel. So this is going to be Asriel and Deltarune. Okay, I think Asriel and Deltarune will go in B tier since we don't see him. We hear of him, and I think that his potential relationship with Des is mystifying. Let me see if I can use another word except interesting or other than interesting. But no, I'm gonna put him at the top of B tier since his lore relevance is high, and I'm sure that I'll put him higher once we get more of Deltarune. But for right now, I think Asriel and their relationship with Chris is cool, and I want to know more about that and why Chris is has the inferiority complex with their brother. Other than getting all the medals and getting all the attention, I want to see that more played out. I want to see it more fleshed out. I want to see backgrounds. I want to see backstories. I want to see flashbacks. So, Chris is going at the top of S tier. I'm gonna put Sans behind Chris Because Chris is such an interesting character. I think Toby is making such a good idea by making Deltarune, and not just making one protagonist. I think that having multiple protagonists in Susie and Roulxs is fun. Even though Chris is our main protagonist, I think that Chris and their relationship with the soul is interesting. I think Chris and um, Carol and Asgore and Toriel and Azriel and Des and Noelle and everyone. I think I said Des twice, but it's true. I think that there's so much to go off there. Um, and I love the shirt. I love the design. I think it's clever to call back to Frisk and Kara. Um, with their design, I think it adds mystery and a lot of curiosity to their character. So yeah, let's gonna keep them. I'm gonna keep them at the top of S since they're a good character, and I think that Sans, while funny and deep, I think that Chris being the main character in Deltarune with all this content, and especially in Chapter 3 with the video game segment that is unlocked by Ram, definitely. Okay, next is Susie. Oh, I don't know why I did that. That's super weird. Like, let me reset it. Okay. Next is Susie. I think I'm gonna put Susie above Chris. Actually, and that's crazy since we just had a top ranker. Here's another top ranker with Susie. I think Susie is great. I think that her backstory, without having a backstory, without having much of her backstory revealed to us yet, her character is great. I love how her dynamics play off of Chris and Roulxs, and I think that her relationship with Noelle is cute. I love the Ferris wheel scene with Noelle and Susie at the end of Chapter 2, or close to the end of Chapter 2. In the cyber world, I think that her realization that Roulxs isn't real and thus none of the other Darkners are real is actually really sad and thoughtful. I think that Susie's relationship with Gerson and Delta in Chapter 4 is so sad, and I think that her crashing out on Roulxs at the end of Chapter 4, or not the end, but during Chapter 4 is kind of reasonable, and I think that Susie is kind of what the players... If the player was an actual thing in Deltarune, if the player wasn't the heart, the soul controlling Chris, I think a good stand-in would be Susie. So... yeah, it seems that she really is the main character, but Chris isn't the real main character, but I think if anyone, it would be her. Next is Roulxs. I think I'm going to put Roulxs below... I don't know, I like Roulxs a lot. I think I'm going to put all the Delta Warriors at S, so I think that Roulxs is such an interesting character. Is he the green crayon? Is he the red headband or the pink headband? Is he Azrael? Is he piles of Azrael's dust? Is he his own thing? Does he have special properties? He probably does. He says he's a Darkner, but why can't he travel against Dark Worlds without being turned to stone? Why does Susie not question that? Does Susie internally question that and just doesn't want to talk about it? Susie's suspicion of Roulxs is interesting, and Roulxs's how he looks after Susie is great. And why is Roulxs talking to Chris between scenes when we can't see Chris because the soul is somewhere else? All great questions, but yeah, I think Roulxs is a high S tier ranker in my tier list. So next is Lancer. Lancer. He's a funny character. I'm going to put Lancer. I'm gonna put Lancer there. I think Lancer's role in Deltarune as Susie's first Darkener friend is cool. I think his relationship with his dad is interesting. His relationship with Queen is interesting. I like how he's still relevant in Chapter 3. Same with Roulxs. I think he's funny. I love his theme. It's very catchy, and I think as one of the first main antagonists in Deltarune, not knowing what they're doing kind of paved the way for how this whole game has felt like we don't know what we're doing. So yeah, I think that he's a good character. He's funny. I love him. Next is Noelle. I'm going to put... Oh, Sorry, that was Birdly. I want to put Noelle below Sans. But above. Actually, I'll put her below Flowey and above Timmy. I think that Noelle is a great character. She has such lore significance in Deltarune, compared to what some might think. I think that her relationship with Susie is fun and romantic, and I think that her relationship with her mother is interesting and kind of sad. Her relationship with Rudy and the unknown relationship with Des, intriguing. The Snowgrave route is this whole other thing, or the weird route. I should just call it the weird route now, since Snowgrave is only a chapter 2 thing, but I think this scene in chapter 4 where Chris keeps, spoiler alert for Weird Route chapter 4, where Chris keeps inching towards Noelle is so creepy, and the way that we're making Chris do this is so sad, and I think that we might see Noelle and Chris be able to like go together to the festival as a couple, which is disgusting, but that's how the weird route goes, I guess. But I also love how like she has like so much lore to her, like her cat petter save, Dragon Blazers, and how Dragon Blazers is ripped off of, or not ripped off, but based off of Lord of the Hammer, which is based off the prophecy. I think that's so interesting. She's an integral part of the lore, and I think that Roulxs, his reaction to you saying Noelle in the weird route is so interesting. Like he's catching on. There's something weird going on with Noelle, and the way that Susie's catching on. It hasn't said anything, and she probably realizes something in chapter 4. It's all that is so cool, and I think that that deserves her place in S tier. Next is Birdly. Birdly is a good B rank character. I think I'm gonna put him below Azriel, but above Mad Mew Mew, because I would put Mad Mew Mew above Birdly potentially, but Birdly has more of a role in chapter 2 of Deltarune. I think that Mad Mew Mew's relevance in Undertale isn't really sought after unless you go and do the thing in chapter 2, and Mad Dummy's fight in Mad Mew's fight, the first one in but Undertale, is fun, and I think that I think that Birdly just has more content, and I think that Birdly's a very hilarious character. Humor is, for me, I think the like nerdy gamer alpha male stereotype is funny, and I'm glad that Toby integrated that into chapter 2. Chapter 2 is probably still my favorite chapter. Actually, no, I think chapter 3 is my favorite chapter, but chapter 2 is close second, then fourth, then first. But yeah, Birdly's relationship with Noelle is interesting, and the way that he doesn't wake up in chapter 4 is cool. I don't remember in the weird route if we check his vitals or whatever. I don't know what's going on there, but he might be alive. I don't know. I need to check up on my lore of the weird route, but other than that, yeah, he's below Azriel in Deltarune. Yeah. Okay, next is Monster Teen. I'm gonna put Monster Teen in C tier because we don't get much of them, and I think they're kind of partners with Snowy, and that kind of automatically ranks you down. Sorry, not sorry. This is Snowy in Deltarune. I'll put Snowy in Undertale with Monster Teen from Deltarune. I'll put Snowy from Deltarune in D. Since Snowy in Deltarune is awful. His jokes are awful. No one likes them. Snowy in Undertale, I like his relationship with his father. I think that's very sad, and that his mother dies. But I'm glad that in the Pastor's Route they get to be friends again, or they're friendly with each other again, and they're cool. Don't like his dad though. His dad kind of sucks. But Caddy, I love Caddy. I love the potential for Caddy. Caddy is going above Birdly, and I'm also going to bring Chuckington over here. I'm going to talk to them as a unit. Chuckington, I guess, above, because realistically, I should probably put Caddy above Chuckington, and I'll probably rank Caddy above Chuckington in the full release of Deltarune, but right now I'll put Chuckington there because the hype for Chuckington Chapter 4 was unreal, at least for me, and the reason, or the way that we didn't get any of Chuckington, or any of Caddy in the Dark Worlds, so sad, and especially with that tease from Toby about Chuckington and the prophecy growing a beard is great for Chuckington, but not great for the fan base. kind of let some people down, and it did personally let me down. But what are you gonna do? I think Jockington and like their relationship with Caddy's fun. I like how Jockington watches out for Caddy and how Caddy watches out Jockington. The origin story is iconic. And Caddy, I like Caddy. Caddy's fun. I think that her distaste for Susie, because of Noelle, is interesting in chapter 4 via, or not via, but thus because she doesn't like Susie in chapter 4. She doesn't like Chris now, and I think that can be explored in chapter 5 or chapter 6, at least by the end of the game. Please, Toby. But yeah. Also, I like her emo aesthetic, and I think that her not hatred, but dislike for her sister because she keeps trying to like hype her up as funny. Let's do Caddy too. I think Caddy is a B tier character. I'm gonna put her below Monster Kid because Monster Kid is actually kind of nice, and I like how they are in Undertale. I think that the relationship with Undyne and Frisk is fun, but this is not about Monster Kid. It's about Caddy. I don't know. She's fine. I think that her whole speech in the Deltarune chapter 4 is funny. Especially because it had parts of the prophecy entangled with it, so that's pretty cool. Caddy being purple is fun. Like, okay, that's fun. But yeah, nothing else. I think her hatred, or not her hatred, but her like intrigue in Braddy is interesting, and Braddy's hatred for Caddy turning around in chapter in the chap just not procedurally, increasingly in Deltarune as the chapters go by. It's fun. I think they're going to be friends at the end of the game, and yeah. I love that line in chapter 2, being like, "Oh, you brought your nasty, dirty little friend," when Chris brings Susie to her in the alleyway in chapter 2 is funny. I love that. Next is Asgore and Deltarune. I think I'm gonna rank Asgore and Deltarune above Asgore in here because the hype and the intrigue for Asgore is increasing by the day. And he's probably going to be better in Deltarune than Undertale, and I think that Toriel's going to be better in Undertale than in Deltarune, so it's kind of vice versa there, isn't it? Kind of a dichotomy to it, as the years go by, the like for Asgore will go up, unless he killed Dust. If he killed Dust, then I don't think a lot of people will like that, but who knows? I don't know personally, but I think that, again, how I said with Asgore originally, I think that his relationship with Chris is cool. Also, I would love to know more about his relationship with his older kid, Azriel. So, yeah, let's go to Toriel and Deltarune. I think Toriel and Deltarune is below Toriel, and honestly, even without Chapter 3 and Chapter 4, I think I would put Deltarune and Toriel below Undertale Toriel, and I think I'm gonna put her below Metazon, and that's just because that she doesn't have much going for her. I probably would have put her above if we saw more of her in Chapter 3, but we didn't. I'm holding out hope for more, but I'm not sure. This might be an in-game thing, but yeah. Everything I said about her and her Deltarune analysis, or Undertale analysis, is also true for Deltarune, so. Next is Rudy. Rudy. I think Rudy being the knight is so curious. If you haven't seen that video, it's on my channel, so go watch it. I should be one of the videos I reacted to before this, but Rudy. I think that he's a cool character, and I think that how he looks after Noelle is so sweet compared to Carol, which is actually awful to Noelle, but also I feel like he's entangled in the death plotline somehow, maybe by Carol, and all that intrigue kind of goes below Alphys, because I think Alphys is such a cool character in Undertale. But yeah, Rudy, he's cool. Undyne in Deltarune. Let's see. I think that's about right. She was in chapter 3 and she was funny. She's gonna have plot significance, but without that, we haven't seen much of her, so. In bottom 8 she goes. And same with Alphys. She can go up there with Undyne as well. I think that she's more relevant than Undyne, surprisingly, in the gameplay of Deltarune, but in the story, Undyne's probably more relevant. But I think that her having characteristics, and her relationship with Asgore is interesting because she knows Asgore and Deltarune. I'm pretty sure I might get that wrong, but yeah, she's cool. I think. Also, Chris being able to drink the punch in front of her, in chapter 4 is like so savage of them. Lion, I don't know her name. C tier. Roulxs, I love Roulxs. Roulxs is great. He's going in S tier. Um, I'm gonna put Roulxs at the top of S tier because he's amazing and I love him and he's funny. In chapter 3, polycule with with Roulxs, El Nino or El Nina and La Nino is hilarious. I love them. I loved him in chapter 2. I loved him in chapter 1. His The way that he keeps coming back is hilarious, and the way that we've fought him every single chapter, but chapter 4. It's great. I love it. I love him so much. Yeah, that's all I have to say. King. Uh, Chaos King. I guess this. I, I I guess he's funny, so I guess I should put him like above QC. I think that makes sense. Top of C tier, not S tier, C tier. But you know, he's funny, even though he's evil. He's funny. He's like, yes, bounce lancer, like a little ball that he is. I'm like, that's hilarious. Also him and Queen like having a relationship as soon as Queen gets to the Dark World, hilarious, funny, love it. Sham let me down. Sham has let me down. I still think they're interesting, but I'm just gonna put them in B tier. I need to get Sham some more credit. If we were talking about fan games, I would put Muffet above Sham, but Sham was fine. Like, he knows, or sorry, they know stuff about the shadow crystals and the shadow mantle, so I'll put them above River Person. But yeah, I'll put Sham above Gerson because this is Gerson and Undertale, and we have a Gerson and Deltarune. So yeah, not much to say. I think that his relationship with Jevil was interesting, and I wish we got more of that explained, but we probably won't. But maybe since Jevil could pop out of our items anytime he wanted, so whatever. Oh, talking about Jevil, here's Jevil. Jevil is better than Sham. I would put him A tier. Like I think I'll put no, I'll keep Car there and I'll put Jevil below them. So I think how he talks about Chaos is cool. Love his boss fight. The music is amazing. Uh, and I think that the parallels between Chris and Freedom is great, especially with Spamton as well. Let's just get Spamton right there with the secret boss duo. Um, he's fine. Spamton is cool. I think there's a lot of hype for him, but I think it's died down a little bit. But he's still a good character. And also Freedom even more so. I think I'm gonna put Spamton above Jevil just because we have more Spamton content than Jevil content because he keeps reappearing in the game. Um, but yeah. Next is this Hammer guy. Don't know who you are really by. Starwalker, of course, he's going above Roulxs. Actually, Roulxs is better than Starwalker, but Starwalker is the Starwalker. What do you want me to say? He's amazing. Next is Queen. We got a lot of her in chapter 2. Probably the most of an antagonist we've ever gotten in a Deltarune chapter. Maybe besides Tina, but maybe Tina was more. I don't know. I'm gonna put Queen the bottom of S. Love her. She's amazing. Love her relationship with Noelle. Love the universe and love the theory. Still holds up. Theory that survived the chapter 3 and 4 apocalypse. Nuber is fine. B tier. I'll put him at the bottom of B. Sweet Cap and Cakes, don't care. Swatch, Butler Swatch. Wait, no. This is just Swatch. Wait, no. What's the difference? This is Swatch. This is Shops. This is Shop Swatch, and this is Swatch. I don't know. Are they both Butlers? I guess they are, but they're fine. Actually, I'm giving way too much credit to Sweet Captain Cakes with this. Um, yeah, I'll put them below the Royal Guards. Well, in Undertale, I don't know what they're called in Deltarune, but Bros and Deltarune, I guess. Trashy, don't care. D character, don't like him. He's trash because he's trash. I don't care what you guys say. Um, Task Manager, love Task Manager. Love how she's based off Task Manager in your computer. I think that her guiding around like I forget the characters' names, the cat enemies in Deltarune Chapter 2. Forgot. So sorry, Deltarune theorists and Deltarune tryhards. I forgot their names. But yes, Task Manager goes above Sham. I think her design is great, and I think that her whip is funny, and I like her. And I think that her like voice in Chapter 2 is cool, since we hadn't really heard a voice other than Spamton for them, except the ending credits with "When the light is running low." But yeah, Tina, I love Tina. I think that Toby, no, he does not go into B tier. I think that Tina, or Toby made a great thing by making there less Darkners in Chapter 3, since we got more great Darkners with more fleshed out stories. And reusing characters like Roulxs, amazing in Chapter 3. That's why Chapter 3 is my favorite chapter, I think. Tina, dare I say above Queen? I know. Also, I put Timmy and Toby below them. But yeah, Tina is amazing. I love him. For all the reasons I love Queen, he's hilarious. Love him more than Spamton. Not Spamton ripoff. He's amazing. I love him. Love his story arc. Oh, I am dehydrated. Let me get a look at this water. But yeah. Next is Lanino. Lanino is going into S tier. Wait now. I can't just put everyone in S tier. I'm gonna put Lanino in A tier. Okay. Okay. But yeah. Next is Elnina. Elnina A tier. And there's a reason why. They're funny, they're hilarious, the Roulxs. I love them, and Roulxs made their characters 10 times better. Toby was so smart for doing that. And Toby so smart for making him a recurring character, and then making Elnina and Lanino. I know they won't appear in other Dark Worlds, but I hope they have interesting content. Because I know their characters are dead until we see them to the end of the game, but I don't know, I love them. I love them. Alvin is below Kara. Or Kara. Sorry, it's Kara's character, but yeah. I don't know. Alvin, I think that his yearning for his father again, even though he died, and then his desperate need to you know, bring his father back, Grissom, and his want for that is actually very sweet and nice, but sad. I think he did make the chapter 4 Dark World in the, what is it called? Atrium? Basically where the seats are and the, thing is, where the church happens. But yeah, I think the first one was made by the Roaring Knight, second Susie, third Alvin. But yeah, nothing else to say really. Gerson, third and Alvin. He's not my favorite character by any means. I think a lot of people are kind of hyping him up. He's funny, I like him. I think that he's better than Alvin. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I think his relationship with Susie's fun. Yeah. He served his purpose. His boss fight I haven't played yet. I will play it soon, I swear. But yeah. Next is Jackenstein. Jackenstein is funny. I don't know why people are hating on him. I put him at the bottom of A. I think that he's funny. He's fun. He's not as iconic as Jebel or Spamton, but I could see him being iconic in the future if he reappears. You're taking too long. You're taking too long. It's taking too long. You're long. Like, all of that is funny. The boss fight's hilarious. I don't know why people didn't like it. I think it was iconic. Peak Toby Fox writing, so. Next is all these stupid mics, bro. I'm gonna put Mike. Oh, I need to give Azrael more credit. I'm gonna put Azrael. There, you can go with Kara. And that's Deltarune and Azrael, by the way. Yeah, but you can say in B tier. Yeah, they go at the bottom of A tier, I guess. Nah, they're all mics, but they're not Mike, so. Also, I wish they had the other versions of them, like the Pippin and was it the Werewire or whatever. I don't know. Hilarious, but not needed. I think the joke is funny though. It's funny, but like, do we really need this? Like, can't we just have like a Mike character? And I think this is Toby's response to all the fan theories in Deltarune the community. So, Carol, obviously, Carol is S tier. And I think this is mostly because of the chapter 3 and 4 hype, but I think Carol as a character is so intriguing. Like, what is her deal? Is she working with the Knight? How is she involved with Chris? There's so many different questions. Why are her antlers blue? How she treats Noelle is awful, but as a character, she goes in S. Gaster. Is Gaster even a character? Yeah, he is. We see him talking, but I'm intrigued. I guess top of A is fine. We don't know much about him, but yeah, I think all the Goner stuff is fun, and I think mostly because he's in A tiers because we don't know much about him in the theories, fan theories, all the Goners, the Goner Maker, him in Undertale as well, falling into the core, all interesting. Of course, it's always been interesting. Darker than dark, you know. Des, okay, so Des is a guitar. No, but this is her guitar, but yeah. We still don't have a character sprite for her. We do get to see her shadow though, so maybe that counts. I don't know. But Des as a character is intriguing, so I'm gonna put her below Gaster in A tier. The Roaring Knight, very intriguing. I'm gonna put the Roaring Knight above Gaster as of now, because they have more story significance than Gaster, and I think their plot is starting off. So I can say that their fight is amazing. Love Black Knife as a song, but yeah. And that is it, guys. That is all of Undertale and Deltarune characters ranked. Let me know if you agree with my list and rank them below in the comments if you want to. But yeah, have a good day, YouTube. Bye.